Daniel, Agatha, and Emeka had always been the best of friends. It had always been that way since the very first day all three of them stumbled into the same kindergarten classroom in Emegu, wide-eyed and clutching their lunchboxes. People who knew them often mistook them for siblings, and honestly, the trio never bothered to correct anyone. Their bond ran that deep. They loved each other the way only childhood friends could, fiercely, freely, without the complications that life had not yet introduced. But life, as it always does, eventually showed up. By their final year of secondary school, something had shifted between the boys. A quiet tension had crept into the friendship, subtle at first, like the first crack in a wall before the whole thing comes down. Both Daniel and Emeka had developed feelings for Agatha. Deep, stubborn, all-consuming feelings that neither of them had the sense to keep to themselves. They competed for her attention the way teenage boys do. Gifts, gestures, showing up at the right moments, laughing a little too loud at her jokes. It started as a harmless rivalry between friends. Two boys, one girl, and a game that both believed they could play without consequence. They were wrong. The friendly competition curdled quickly into something uglier. Arguments became confrontations, confrontations became fights, and those fights grew violent in the way that things do when pride and heartache get tangled together. Daniel always won. It was not hard to understand why. He came from money, real money, and that meant he came with backup. His boys were never far away, and whenever things escalated, Emeka found himself outnumbered before the first punch landed. After the third time he went home with a swollen eye and a bruised rib, he made a quiet decision. He stepped back, swallowed his feelings whole, and focused on graduating with whatever dignity he had left. The week after their final exams, Emeka packed a bag and left for Lagos without telling anyone his forwarding address. He told himself he was running toward opportunity, and maybe that was partly true. He enrolled in university, built a life, found his footing in a new city. But in the quiet hours, late at night when the generator hummed and the streets outside his window settled into silence, he knew what he had really been running from. Years passed. Life moved the way life does. Then one afternoon, a message found him. Short, matter of fact, the kind of message that arrives without warning and rearranges everything. Daniel and Agatha are getting married. Emeka sat with that information for a long time. He turned it over slowly, the way you handle something you are not sure is safe to hold. Part of him was genuinely happy, or at least something that resembled happiness, worn thin around the edges. They had been his people once. They deserved good things. But another part of him, a part he had never fully buried, sat in the dark and ached. He went back home for the wedding anyway, dressed well, smiled warmly, shook Daniel's hand and meant most of it. He never got to see them exchange vows. 3 days before the ceremony, Daniel was found dead in his hotel room. Stab wounds, chest and stomach, the kind of violence that left no room for uncertainty. The news hit Enugu like a thunderclap. Mourning filled every corner of it, and at the center of all that grief stood Agatha, hollow-eyed, barely speaking, folded into herself in a way that made her look like a different person entirely. Emeka stayed. He told himself it was the right thing to do, that he was simply being a good friend to someone in pain. He cooked when she forgot to eat. He sat in silence when words were useless. He walked with her through the fog of it, patient and steady, until slowly, very slowly, she found her way back to the surface.
Their closeness, forged in the furnace of that grief, quietly became something else. A look that lingered a moment too long, a hand held past the point of comfort, a conversation that went until 3 in the morning and neither of them wanted to end. They married 2 years later, quietly, without much ceremony. 4 years on, the house they shared was full in all the ways that matter. 2 children, noise, laughter, the particular chaos of a home that is actually lived in. Their marriage, by every visible measure, was a good one. Emeka often sat on the veranda in the early evenings, watching the street, listening to his children play somewhere inside the house. He looked like a man at peace, and perhaps, in his own way, he was. People who passed by saw a devoted husband, a present father, a man who had built something real. They did not know what he had dismantled to build it. Because Emeka carried a truth that had never left the room where it was born, the hotel room, 3 days before a wedding that never happened. He was the one who put the knife in Daniel. Not in a moment of rage, not by accident. He had gone there deliberately, calmly, with the full knowledge of what he intended to do and what it would cost him if he was ever found out. He had simply decided that Agatha was his, that she had always been his, and that no amount of money or muscle or boyhood friendship entitled Daniel to take her. Some nights, sitting in the quiet of his veranda with the warm Enugu air settling around him, he asked himself if he felt anything close to regret. The answer every time was the same. He did not. And that, perhaps, was the most frightening part of all.
Thank you so much for staying and listening to us. We sincerely appreciate your effort to watch our videos here at Tales by the Wordsmith, where we tell wonderful stories that connect and stay with you. Please be sure to like, comment, and share our videos and channel with your friends and family. Also be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload new videos in our channel. Until next time, I remain your host, the Wordsmith. Have a wonderful day, stay safe, and stay blessed. Peace.